What's up everyone, welcome to Story Mode, the show where I give you a quick rundown of the main plot of different video games. In this episode, we're going to cover The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, as it is the first game chronologically on the official Legend of Zelda timeline that was first released in this book, Legend of Zelda Hyrule Historia. This will be the first episode in a series of episodes of Story Mode where we cover all of the Legend of Zelda games. So, let's begin. The game begins on the floating island of Skyloft, where Link, the protagonist, is preparing for the annual wing ceremony, an important part of the initiation of new Knights of Skyloft. After the ceremony, Link's friend Zelda falls from her loft wing, a type of bird ridden by the Knights of Skyloft, to the surface during a sudden and unusual storm. That night, Link is visited by Fi, a being sent by the goddess Hylia in order to help him search for Zelda. Fi leads Link to the goddess sword, and the next day he ventures to the surface. On the surface, Link meets an old woman in an ancient sealed temple. This woman assures Link that Zelda is safe and has embarked on a quest of her own, and that he needs to continue to track her down. While searching for Zelda, Link discovers that Zelda is also being followed by two other people. Impa, a servant of Hylia sent to protect Zelda on her quest, and Girahim, a self-proclaimed demon lord who claims responsibility for the storm that dragged Zelda to the surface. Link finally catches up to Zelda in another ancient temple called the Temple of Time, but Girahim finds her there as well and attacks. Link holds Girahim at bay long enough for Zelda and Impa to escape through the temple's portal, which Impa destroys as soon as she and Zelda are through. Back at the sealed temple, the old woman shows Link a similar portal that leads to the same place as the portal in the Temple of Time, and that Link needs to strengthen the goddess sword in order to use the portal. To strengthen the sword, Link must temper it in special sacred flames hidden in various places on the surface. Before he can set out on his new quest, however, a giant beast known as the Imprisoned, which was sealed in a pit outside the temple, breaks its seal and begins to climb toward the temple. With great effort, Link stops and reseals it before it can reach the temple, and then sets out in order to find the sacred flames. With the goddess's sword strengthened and renamed the Master Sword, Link returns to the portal in the sealed temple. Before he can use the portal though, the Imprisoned breaks its seal again, and Link must reseal it once more, though with more effort even with the aid of Groose, his former rival in the Knights Academy, who followed him to the surface on his second visit to the sealed temple. Link enters the portal and finds himself in the distant past, when the sealed temple was still called the Temple of Hylia. There, Zelda explains all that has thus far occurred, having learned it recently herself. She proceeds to tell Link that long ago a demon named Demise attempted to conquer the surface and claim the Triforce as his own. In order to protect the Triforce and the people under her protection, Hylia hid it and her people on the floating island of Skyloft, and then battled and eventually sealed away Demise. She was unable to kill Demise, however, so she began to implement preparations so that someone else would one day do it for her. Zelda reveals that she is the reincarnated form of Hylia, and the Imprisoned is Demise's weakened form. Zelda's duty is to remain in the Temple of Hylia and use her power to maintain the seal on Demise long enough for Link to find the Triforce and kill Demise in the present. Eventually, Link finds the Triforce and uses it to destroy Demise. Zelda is finally released from her duty in the present, but shortly after, Girahim abducts her and transports her to the past, planning to resurrect Demise in that time period. Despite Link's attempts to stop him, Girahim sacrifices Zelda's soul to Demise, thus allowing Demise to break free of his seal. Girahim is revealed to be Demise's sword, and Demise reclaims him. Link then challenges Demise, who is impressed with Link's courage and thus accepts the challenge. Ultimately, Link defeats Demise and traps his soul in the Master Sword, thus allowing Zelda's soul to return to her body. Before getting sealed in the Master Sword, Demise inflicts a curse on Link and Zelda, declaring those who carry Link's spirit in Zelda's bloodline will be plagued by an incarnation of his hatred throughout the ages to come. With Demise's defeat, Link places the Master Sword in a pedestal in the Temple of Hylia. Impa chooses to remain with the sword in order to ensure Demise remains sealed within it. Back in the present, they realize that the old woman in the sealed temple is an aged Impa just before she passes. Zelda later decides to remain on the surface and wonders what Link plans to do. Link smiles, hinting he too plans to stay on the surface with Zelda and help her watch over the Triforce. Well, that was the story to The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and you stay tuned for more episodes of Story Mode right here on Strictly Nerd. In the next episode, we're going over the story of The Legend of Zelda The Minish Cap, as it is the next game on the timeline. Thanks for watching, I'm Eric, and I'll see you next time.